I asked them, well, why did you leave? It was so beautiful. I know they left because I'm talking to a body that's laying on the bed. Why did you leave? And they all say the same thing. We heard the call. They heard the call that went out, even to the other planets, to the space people, and to the ones who had never been out in from the source. We heard the call, Earth is in trouble. Will you go and help? And many of them describe meetings on the spirit side even, where they're saying, who wants to go and help? And I had one woman said, and I raised my hand. And she said, what was I thinking of?
No, there you go. So here she is, and here many of them are. And this story, so there are these consistencies you're hearing.
Oh,
from
I
these
do
waves.
thousands and thousands of people.
Yes.
When you get the same story for so many people, I put this all together like a puzzle.
Yes.
Bits and pieces. So the first wave are the ones that had the most trouble. I guess you would say they were in their later 50s, some were in their 40s, but some people say they think the early 60s would fall into the same pattern. It probably will, because that's about how long ago. But these are the ones who don't want to be here. They're very unhappy. They have good families, they have jobs, but they don't want to be here. They don't like it. They want to go home. They don't know where home is, but they know it's not here. They don't like the violence, they don't understand it, and many of these first wavers have tried to commit suicide at different points in their life to get out of here. The first wave are just living like everybody else. It's the second wave that are doing different things. But the first wave are the ones who don't want to be here, and they wanted to commit suicide, and they've had a very hard time. But the second wave, I found, would be in their 20s, 30s, maybe some over into the 40s. And when I'm doing them, they said they are called antennas, generators. They're here just to generate positive energy to affect everyone else.
Beautiful.
Well, they said those kind of people can walk through a crowded mall or a store, and their energy will affect anyone that is there.
Yes.
Not consciously, they don't realize what they're doing, but their energy is supposed to be generated to affect other people. And I've had people come and say, what's my purpose? What am I supposed to be doing here? And the second wave, they'll usually say, you're just to be. And they don't like that when they wake up. They say, but I wanted to be doing something. All you're supposed to do is just be and allow the energy to affect other people.
Yes.
But the irony of it is that a lot of the second wavers don't like people, and they don't want to be around them. Their energy bothers them. But they're supposed to be affecting people, so they stay home. So they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. A lot of the second wavers, some of the first and the second do get married, but a lot of them don't want to because it's just, and the second wave especially, they don't want to have children because they said having children creates karma, and they don't want to make any more karma. They want to do what they're supposed to do and get out of here. They don't want to be stuck here. Because if they create karma, they're going to have to stay. So many of them don't want children, and they work from their home. The second wavers do, so they keep away from people. But they're very gentle, loving people. And I asked them one time, well, why did the first wave have such a hard time? They said, somebody has to be the beginning. Somebody has to be the one that creates the path, the way shower. And they started, and then the others, the second wave, followed, so they had an easier time.
Yes. And that makes sense.
That's the
and
difference.
now their children are these little, amazing little 3, 4, 5, 6...
Well, not theirs. It's just the third wave.
The third wave,
Yeah.
yes. The third wave of
Because
being...
some of them don't want children.
Right. Some of them could be... They're born to whomever, but that next one is really interesting.
The third wave are the children. And some of them now are in their teens. But these are the hope of the world. They're the gift of the world. They're here to really make a difference. And, of course, the last thing these children should be done is put on medicine and medication.
Gosh. Oh.
That's the last
Let's not
thing,
even
because
go there.
they are functioning at a different level. They have come in with all of their genetics. Everything is in place because they are a totally new species. And I've spoken at conferences about the new children where they're trying to educate the educators. And they have panels of these kids. And you know, they're always saying, well, they're disruptive in the classrooms. That's why they have to put them on the medication. And they've said at the conferences, the reason is they're disruptive is because they're bored.
Yes.
They said they say the teacher would ask them for an answer to a problem, a math problem or something. They tell them the answer. The teacher wants to know, how did you find the answer? And they said, I just know it. And to them, that's not enough. They want them to explain how they came by it. So that's very aggravating to one of these children. And another thing, they said they go over and over and over again the same material when I got it the first time. So they're bored. So what I was told to tell people, the teachers and the parents, is to give these kids challenges. When the other kids are doing the other stuff, take these kids aside, maybe give them a special project, a paper to write, or something different that will challenge their minds. And they said, even if you just give them something, the younger ones, something to tear apart and put back together again.
Yes.
It's giving them a challenge.
Yes.
Otherwise, they're sitting around, well, I don't, you know, I'm bored, I don't want to do this again. Give them something different. And that's how they should be treated. And they have a different way of thinking because they do grasp everything so quickly.
I am back here with Starlet Amy, who's joined me on this little hangout. Amy, I went to look her up. I found her a couple of weeks ago again.
Yes.
And then I went to find her again, and I just can't find it. I just cannot find anything linked to her. Anyway, she's a medium. I'll probably show a picture of her. I can't remember her name, so anybody that knows her can please put her name in the hangout. But anyway, we were listening. You've listened to it a couple of times now. That what she's saying, that there's 3 sets of people, but there's a few things that don't run for me. Like, you know, she's talking about planets and things like that. But supposedly, when all these people are regressed, so that might be her own thoughts about what she thinks we're on a planet, you know. But her own thought. Sorry, the work she's done is that she's regressed all these people, children to add, you know, to older people, and then when they're lying there, they all tell her that they've chosen to come here, that there's 3 levels of them, that the first lot are just sent here from source and don't really even know why they're here, nice people, but they don't really like being here. The second lot are antennas, but the really weird bit was, do you remember she said they're just sent to send out a nice vibration. Now, I'm an empath, you're an empath.
Yes.
Not a lot of people listen to us, do they?
That's right, they don't.
But that was interesting. She reckoned the third lot were here to save the people.
Yes. Yes, it was very fascinating what she was saying, and it really rang true to me. And I guess, you know, we're the second lot, we're the empaths here to try to bring positive energy. And like you said, a lot of people don't really listen to us, but we just have a lot of integrity, and we have a lot of empathy for other people. And we're always willing to, you know, love people and work with them and try to understand them. But we don't really get the same back at ourselves.
Not for many people. And
Not
nearly
many,
everybody that's
no.
talking to you is usually so self-obsessed in themselves that that's all they talk about. They don't even talk to you. They talk at you.
They do.
We don't. We talk to each other.
That's right, exactly. Yeah, that's how we get along so well, you know. But I've had many people that just, men and women alike, that I'll be so good to them and always compassionate and caring. And then they will turn on me at the first thought that I said something that they didn't like, and that they will just not hesitate to just never speak to me again, and not even want to have a friendship anymore. And I've been through a lot with men and women, mostly men, but also women as well. And you know, after a while, it makes you feel like you just are afraid to
Well, I've had a
get
bit
too
of an
close.
experience tonight, haven't I, Amy, about all that, when someone else takes their life out on you?
Yes, that's right. I know.
But anyway,
And
it's also frustrating with this bit of video because it wasn't made today. It was made about 10, 15 years ago.
that's
So
right.
the first wave will now be in their 70s.
Right.
The second wave are going to be up to their 50s, 60s, and the third wave are in their 20s and 30s.
Yes. And what was it saying about the third wave again?
They're the ones that will save us, but I don't see it happening.
It
And then
doesn't.
I played you the other one, whatever something Zebra he was called, where in
Yes.
2010 he was talking to everybody, where he said that this outbreak would happen, and it would happen in China, and then it would lead to
Yes.
war. He's like, oh my
Exactly.
God.
I know. I don't know what to make of that. How he knew that, or I guess he had talked to somebody that told him that,
Yeah,
or
he did. He said he had this, he just said whatever he called implant, whatever it was,
yeah.
the other person.
Yeah.
But like, when I heard her say that, it was about 2016, and
Mm-hmm.
I've kept that quite in my heart because I do sort of, with what I'm doing, feel like I'm more like an antenna.
Me
I'm putting out
too.
information,
Yes, that's right.
but I don't know if I
But
agree with everything she said. Like some of
right.
the few things, like. But she did also, that's the bit I wanted to get out. She talked about the third generation, those children, a lot of them are put on medication because she didn't use the word autistic, not autistic, well, maybe autistic,
The
ADHD.
yes.
She just said at school they're deemed as naughty and whatever it is, they're put on medication. And she said, what was the
Yes.
question? The teacher asks them, they answer the question. The teacher says, well, how did you get there? They said, we just know. And that's not good
Right.
enough for the teacher. The children get bored. Then they play
Right.
up because they're bored. And then they get put on
Exactly.
medication. I was thinking ADHD. There you
That's
go.
right. That's right. They want to medicate the children to the point that is ridiculous.
So maybe the
And
ones that have got ADHD are the ones that are going to save us.
exactly, that's right. And the lady was saying that what the teacher needs to do is give them something that would challenge their mind, not put them on medication, but give them something to challenge their mind so that they don't become bored, you know.
Yeah.
And that's what they should be doing. But they're just going to medicate them, and then it's going to dull
Yeah,
whatever
they won't be
their
able to connect with
great
themselves. They
instincts.
will not, because that's
That's
what,
right.
even, I mean, like I said, I don't know how I'd feel right now. Someone told me I was seriously ill and I needed to take medication. What you do,
Right.
right?
Right.
But we all know that the medication, especially things like antidepressants and all these kind of things, they're to partake you away from yourself, not to connect you. They're to
Exactly.
stop feelings. They're to stop you connecting with yourself. So you think
That's right.
they're helping you, but they're not, because if you stop taking them, all those feelings are going to come back.
That's
So
right.
it's just, yeah.
And they don't want people to feel their feelings. They just expect people to be almost like a robot, I feel like, and you have to just not care about things and not have an emotion. But we have feelings. We can't be controlled by our emotions, but we have to have a healthy way to feel them and act on them.
The
Is
other
what the
thing
thing
is, she was
is.
saying this 15 years ago, and we're in a worse place today than we were then, because look what's happening today. And like, looks like the whole
That's
world's
right.
shutting down, just like that bloke from 2010, he made that.
I
So what are we now? That's
know.
10 years ago.
That's right. Do you think that
But
part
I
of
can
the
see what he means, though, because they started off with a virus, and then,
yes,
food's not going out, all these things, and then they can turn it into a war.
absolutely.
But
That's
none of it will
right.
be well, we know none of it's going to be the way they say it is.
Right. And I just don't know what's going to happen with all the panic that they're trying to create. And when I was in middle school age, like 12 or
God, we thought the
13,
Watts case was bad enough. What is all this?
yes, I know. It was only the tip of the iceberg of all the deception that they have put out there. And I'm afraid they're going to create
I
a
mean,
food.
in that program with that guy 10 years ago, it was about. It's like there is, what was it, 700 million people. They wanted to get down to 500,000. Was 500 million or so? Like they wanted to get rid of three like
Right.
2/3 of the population.
Yes. And I know that, you know, they have the Agenda 21 and I think Agenda 2030.
Yeah, but we know
It's
about
very
them, so
serious.
they can't be real, can they? Because when we know about it, it's just someone giving us
No, that's
information
a,
that we can't
yes.
prove, can't nothing.
That's a good point. Now in America, that we really don't talk as much about Agenda 21. I found that it was something I only discovered maybe a year or so ago, a little over that. And if you mention it to people, you know, close to you, they'll think you're crazy. They haven't even heard of it. So you might speak about it more in the UK and maybe in Europe, but in America, I bet if I said Agenda 21, I bet a lot of people may not even know what I'm talking about unless they're really into the truth, you know, watching truth channels on YouTube or in the truth community. But my average friend
So with all this
probably
happening,
wouldn't.
like a guy making this video 10 years ago talking about again what's happening right now,
Yes,
this medium saying what she's saying, like it's a bit hard to.
I
Oh,
know. I
so
did.
long I've kept because I'm an empath, and
Yes.
you know, my own family's not been particularly great to me either. You know, so
Oh,
well, you know, don't
right.
you? And you can't talk to them about any of these things.
No,
But
you
anyway,
cannot.
then you've got. I was just so annoyed I can't remember her name. But then we've got this medium, and it's like, what do you reckon of it all, Amy? Do you reckon that we're going to save ourselves? Because that's about the only thing that's going to happen. And
Yeah, I think we have to come
you need to throw
together.
the. We need to have a protest. We need to throw the televisions out.
Right, that's right. And we just need to come together as people. We have to, people don't realize how deceived that they're being. In the average day, a person, they get up and they go to work, and that does them in for the day pretty much because the jobs are so demanding and understaffed, and the bosses are not good about it. And so people are just working an 8-hour day is enough to, and fighting traffic and everything else, that they're not even in tune with what's being done to them, and they're putting all their faith in a government or a president, and they honestly are hoping that
Yeah,
some
and you need to
president's
put
going to
your
fix
faith
it.
in the people,
And the
not those things.
people, and they're dividing the people don't realize that the news media and the governments are trying to divide the people. And if we could just wake up and see that and come together as people and love each other, you know, for who we are, then the world would be a better place. And we need to not put our faith in these governments because they just want to
They're only run
control
by,
us.
they're only the actors for the corporations, the
Right.
businesses.
Right. And that's how they get everybody is in some kind of debt, and everybody is struggling just to make ends meet, or just put their children through college and pay their bills, and that just takes over their life, and they don't have time to think about anything else. And then they put their hope in, oh, if we get this president elected, then everything is going to change. But nothing has ever really
I think,
changed in
you know,
my life.
when you've gone through a system, you know, like say the party that you didn't want to win got in, you live
Yes.
your life, you get on with it. But then when the one party that wins, you're going, yes, they won. All
Yes.
that just seems pathetic now that I ever even wanted to vote for it. Like when you realise what it is, it's about a million times worse than I could have ever imagined it was.
Oh, I know, me too. And you know, I witnessed it firsthand with my dad's illness, how they treat the people, and especially elderly people. They just once my dad got to that certain point after they did the radiation for that brain tumor, and they got him so damaged from it, it seemed like every time they took him to the hospitals, I feel like the doctors saw what they did to him with that radiation, and now they wanted to cover their mistake. So because he was 79 years old, they wanted us to, they kind of bullied us into
What they
signing a
did to your
thing.
dad was horrific.
It
So
was
it was supposed to
horrific.
just be have this stuff and then carry on for as long as he could, hopefully for many more
Yes,
years. What it did was
yes,
it made him a totally disabled person who couldn't
yes,
communicate and just spent a few months dying. Sorry, Amy.
Exactly. That's what he went through, and I just got
And
to
I
see it
still think he might have had
firsthand.
that other thing, right? My
That
friend's brother's got it, it's really
yes,
crazy that he's got it, and then your dad is, he's become, I hate using this word, but I don't know how else to explain it. What we've called like a spastic person.
yes,
They've gone,
that's right.
their bones are all twisted, they can't talk, their memory's gone, but they've got, what did she say? It's like talking to a 5-year-old. I've got a 5-year-old, and also he's incontinent, the whole thing. This is what happened with your
Yeah, it
dad.
did. It was the same thing, and it very well could have been a virus because that radiation just destroyed his immune system. And so they were so eager just to rush us into getting him into a hospice program. And the hospice programs are awful because what they do is they won't give them any fluids, so they're going to dehydrate from that. And then they give them morphine, which actually it really stops their breathing after a while. And so I had to see firsthand what the system does. And of course, I lost all faith in it. And that's just the medical side of it. But it's
Amy, we
all
were talking about
interwoven.
we were talking about the medium.
I know we got around to it. But I think what it is that I've just been seeing it. I had this experience, with my dad. And then I, that through your channel at a time in my life where I was already just seeing everything falling apart, like the way they did with my father. And then at the same time, I was finding you were showing all kind of things that are wrong in the media and just wrong with what they have told us in general. So it really woke me up,
Do you know what?
and I think
Today,
is
right?
also part.
I found the medium lady,
Yes.
right? She just appeared one day, and I watched it, or I looked up mediums. I was looking up something, whatever it is. I found her. The other one with the guy
Yes.
10 years ago, whatever Zebra channel he is, he was shown to me. So sometimes I get given the information. So thank you, reader.
Oh, yes, that's right.
But
Yeah.
it's so hard
Go ahead.
to know what the truth is, isn't it?
It really is. It's very hard to
But
know.
I really feel like it's pump, pump, pump up, pump up. Everything is just being pumped up so badly.
Yes. Why do you think they've pumped it up like this in the last couple of months? So much, like just to
Maybe they're watching YouTube.
right. They probably are, and they probably are spying on the people through social media to see how people are reacting. But like with the latest hype in the news with the virus and everything, I do notice that everybody seems like they're not just buying it for what they're trying to say. I think they're just trying to scare the people and
Yeah, and so
into.
every day more and more of it comes out.
Yes, but it's just amazing. Maybe because I no longer watch mainstream media and I only watch the truth channels, that I'm seeing the side of it where it's just to provoke fear in the people, and so that they could control us more. But like we were saying, it's going to be up to the young people to according to the lady, the third generation, the younger people, that prayerfully that they will wake up through all this, and that they can do something about it, and um and help us out, like so that we can we have to be able to realize what the governments are doing to the people. And I think it's like our generation that's the empath and to have the antennas. We are seeing it, but we can only present it to the young people in a certain way and hope that they're going to catch on and accept it. Because deep down they'll see that it's not right. At least these ones that's in their 30s and 20s, that they would see something is wrong about all of this. And it's like my daughter, she believes in the system. She's 30 years old. She believes in the system, but she came home from work today and
Yeah,
she
but
said
what they've
everybody
done
was up
is
and
with them,
armed.
like your daughter and my
Yeah.
daughter, they've made them so narcissistic that they don't know what they're doing, and they're very selfish. So that's what's
Right.
happened, because everybody's
Yeah.
watching the television.
Right. And yeah,
I
but
mean, look at the programs, Love Island. Look at them all. They're,
oh, I know. That's right. And
I mean,
yeah,
you've got to find someone, be really nasty to them, break up with them, and then fall in love with them or something. You know what I mean? Have an affair. You know, they're
exactly.
being told how to be,
Exactly. That's right. And
and a lot of it is people just don't care, and oh, everybody's got these big fat egos.
they do. I know. And it's just it's so awful. And even people in my generation, they said about the second wave is the empaths, but not everybody is. You also have a lot of narcissists in our generation too. It seems like
Yeah, and our
it's
parents and grandparents were the most indoctrinated by it all. You know, I've done
yes,
another video today. Like, you look up, there's just orphans everywhere. I mean, you know, in a system that didn't really work, that wasn't really the
yes,
law and the guidelines that we're supposed to have today, that,
yes,
you know, suddenly find, oh, but there's a whole orphans part. So they did deal with some things then. You know,
right,
there's another reason why there's orphan children. And look at it. They were told that you know, their children were taken away, you know, or they had to get rid of their children. They had to do this. So it
I
just seems that
know.
all of us, a lot of us, have come from a bunch of orphans.
Oh, I know. It's
Orphans
really
in
horrible.
America. We get to America, they quarantine you, they take the children. I said it goes right through to Hitler. He was another one doing it. So the Second World
Yes,
War for him, it was about just, you know, whatever he was, it was about destroying
yes,
buildings, destroying Tartaria, destroying the infrastructure, you know, the things we had, which were probably better than today.
I
And
know.
then
Right.
it's just incredible. And then that
Oh, it
guy talks
is.
about, I mean, I really hope there isn't a World War III, really.
Oh, me
How can they do
too.
it? How can you do it? Why?
I know. That's
But you
right.
can sort of see, can't you? Because if we've got no toilet paper and all this kind of
Yes,
stuff, then, you know, where does it stop when there's no
exactly.
food on the shelves?
Right. And I think that when they're telling people to stock up with this and stock up with that, what that can do is create a shortage, like a food shortage. I've read a novel when I was in like 12 years old. It was all about a food shortage that was caused
Yes,
because
Amy, what
they
about
did
like the
something.
Depression times of the 1930s?
Yes, my
You know, they've
grandmother
already done
grew
it to
up in
us. You
that.
know, look up depression and money, and like the dollar's not doing very well. But I mean,
Yes,
is it that this is the story that they're giving us, but behind the scenes everything's well okay, but it's just the story that we get.
that's what
But
I
the
think.
dollar's gone down. The economy is
I
like, we cannot
know.
live at this rate. We cannot continue. We're consumers. We can't.
That's right. Well, I think what will happen is at the end of the day, the Federal Reserve will do something to release some money into the economy and get it going again, because that's what they always do. The Federal Reserve is something that, it needs to go, but, certain families control it. And, I worked in the school system, and when they teach the children in American government class, when they're in high school, they teach them all about the American government and how it's structured. And when they get to the Federal Reserve, I didn't even know about the Federal Reserve back then, but they just tell them that they keep your money safe and they release the money if the inflation is too bad. And when it's good, they don't put out the bonds or the money or however it works. I'm not good with economics, but basically what it is that they control everything, the Federal Reserve, until they go. We're not going to see any real changes. That's just the way it is. And until they go, we're just going to be a slave to the system, and the presidents that we get and everybody is just going to be a puppet. And this is my understanding of it. So, but that's what they'll do. I think they'll just get everybody in an uproar, and then at the end of the day, they'll come through, because they have to keep going too, and they
And
need the
don't forget, it's all
people.
done under fear, which is why people are panic buying
Exactly.
and everything else.
Yes, that's right.
I mean,
And
how can you bring martial law into the people? I mean, what does that say? That's worse than communism.
It is. It's horrible.
You
And
know, it's a strong case of flu if it's real.
that's right. Or even, yeah, the flu, or even just a cold. And, you know, we were my sister and I were talking today, and she said, you know, that her throat's a little scratchy and she feels like she's catching a cold, but she's not afraid about the virus. I think a lot of that is
Someone
because,
else told me that as well, but I had it. I think I had it. I've said this before. I
yes,
think I had it a month
I
ago. You know, just
know.
really so unwell, and spent quite a lot of a weekend in bed, even though I did make a few videos. And
Yes,
I just felt like my inner voice had gone. I just felt so empty inside.
I
I was
remember
thinking,
that. I know.
I
Yes,
might not be able to do a hangout. But anyway,
I
again, we don't even
remember.
know if any of this is true. Remember, they make the news up.
That's what it is. They just make it up in advance, like in the video that you had put out. I think it was it called 1968?
Yeah.
And about how they predict the news, or they create the news rather, 5 years
Yeah,
in
they planned it a
advance.
few.
It's
Yeah, he
already
was saying
planned.
in the film. He said they've planned it a year in advance, but these are projects for a few more years.
Yes. And I think there was so much
Oh,
truth
my
to that.
camera's come on.
And I think it's a lot of truth in that. And how did you find that? That just came in. Did that just come into your YouTube feed one day? That video,
Which one? Oh, that one.
the
It
one
did. I
about
just saw
19.
it.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was like how appropriate is that? Like at this time, at
yeah.
this in
Especially
this
as
time we're
Google. It's
in.
a Google. It's a Google doing it.
Do you think that they're almost? I've heard some people are saying that they're kind of almost messing with people now that they realize that so many people have woken up that they're starting to flaunt it right in people's faces. Even with the Super Bowl, the commercials they had
Well,
one
maybe they just make sure the awake people can see it.
right. That
I
could
don't
be
know.
too. Yeah, sometimes I like to think that there's good people behind the scenes that are letting stuff slip through. Sometimes that's a thing I'll think about. What if there's somebody good behind the scenes that's letting some of this out so that people who are awake can see it?
Or just making sure that the awake people see what they're going to do to us.
Right. Why do you
But
think
you won't be able to. We can't report it and talk about it because
that's right? So why
it's
do you
just it's incredible.
I know. Why do you think they want the awake people to see it?
I
Uh,
don't know, Amy, but it did turn up in my feed. But Amy, listen, we've been going for half an hour now. We were we were
yes,
supposed to be talking about
I know.
the medium.
I know. We started, but I think it's because everything just kind of ties in. You know, everything is so tied in together. You know, and the medium was talking about with the generations of people, and we're the second generation that we're very empathic. At least a lot of us. Then you might have your opposite to that, which is your narcissist as well, but anyway, she was talking about that. And then the third generation, would be the younger people that have come into the world, and they're very sharp and they're intelligent, but then they become bored with this programs at school. So the only way they handle it is by giving them a medication so that they'll just be complacent and just stick with the program. And even little children in America, for years it's been going on, like especially little boys, like little children. It's only natural to want to play outside and run around and get their exercise. And in America, they've taken away a lot of playtime in the schools that they used to have. And gym classes, physical education, and they just want them to sit at their desk and do everything. And no wonder the children are going crazy. And if they have extra energy, they need to get that out. But they just want to give them a medication to control their, to keep them
I know, it's
obedient and
awful, isn't it?
complacent.
Really.
It is.
But
And
through social media, they do know that many people don't buy it.
they do. That's right. I think
But
that's
they're
how they keep
making
an
sure
eye.
channels like mine, etc., they get we get put at the bottom. So although we're out there,
That's
unless you're
right.
subbed to the channel or someone shares your link, they're not going to see you. Whereas other people
Exactly.
are promoted in people's boxes, and then you can watch that person being knocked off a stool 1,000 times. You know,
Exactly.
you know.
I know. Yeah, they want us to be keep us kind of, mindless and just looking at a bunch of entertainment and things like that, and not think about anything and not consider it. Because when they're keeping us distracted and entertained and everything, then we're not going to question what's going on around us, and that's what their goal is. And if they could have us all on some medication to control us, I think they would do it if it would keep
I
us
know.
subservient. It's horrible, but we just had to be the voice of truth and the voice of reason.
And we just
And
wanted to let everybody know the bit of information that's come
yes,
out all through this video about the medium, about this person 10 years ago, what he said, and we're here
yes,
now. Oh my God. And then I can't remember his name, but I could put his channel in the description of the video. But Amy, as
yes.
ever, it's always an absolute pleasure talking with
Oh,
you.
thank you. It's always a pleasure talking with you too, lovely Karen. I really
Oh, my
enjoy
lovely
it.
Amy.
Oh, yes. Oh, and
Anyway, so that was the
thank
thought of the
you.
day. This little
Yes.
hangout, the thought of today.
Oh, yes. Thank you so much, lovely Karen. I'm always
And you, lovely
glad
Amy.
to. Oh, thank you, lovely Karen.
Mwah. And
Mwah.
everybody who's watched. Mwah. Anyway, thanks.
Yes. Mwah. Love you all.
Bye
God
from
bless
us.
everyone. Bye
Thank you,
bye.
Amy. Thanks, Amy.
Oh, you're welcome, Karen. I
We
think you're lovely.
could be saying goodbye for the next hour. Anyway,
I
it is
know,
goodbye.
right? I know.
It's goodbye
That's
from us.
right. Goodbye. Yes.